Mm-hmm.
So first of all, it's an extreme weather event. It's weather, not climate change.
We had barely 45 minutes to try to get something out of the basement, and the basement door burst open, and we had to run upstairs.
But this is not necessarily flooding for what happened here. This is an issue that's got to do with the river not being dredged as normal. For the last 5 years, they haven't dredged this river.
Flooding and mudslides has brought much of British Columbia to its knees since November 16th. The wreckage left many scrambling for safety and looking for necessities like food and medication, and it also prompted Good Samaritans to come out and to help. But unfortunately, it's also created an avenue for climate zealots to turn this tragedy into political fodder.
Look, we've all seen what's happening in British Columbia. Do you make a straight line connection between the changing climate and the storms that have been ravaging BC?
Well, it's actually, from a scientific perspective, very difficult to link a specific extreme weather event with climate change. What we do know is because of climate change, because of a warming planet, we are seeing and we will continue to see more and more of these extreme weather events. And that's certainly been the case in Canada and around the world over the last few years.
You know, we cannot just have tunnel vision with these types of things and just say, hey, it's climate change, we need new policies. That's what Jagmeet Singh is doing. I believe they are calling a sort of an emergency debate. I think they announced that today, that they're going to call an emergency debate to discuss how we need to further along the climate change initiatives. And so again, that tunnel vision really leaves us vulnerable.
Well, especially when people need real tangible help today to deal with flooding. They're looking at these big macro issues that I really don't think as Canadians we can affect in any meaningful way anyway. I mean, BC, you guys have had a carbon tax for a decade. And they tell me that if we have a carbon tax, we're not going to have extreme weather events. But here we are. And as Michelle Sterling rightly points out, this is weather. This is weather, and weather happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you guys in Alberta, didn't you have a lot of flooding in around 2013 or something like that too, right? So
yeah, we did.
Got hit pretty hard.
We did. Calgary was flooded, and we were led to believe that it was climate change, even though one of the towns that flooded was named High River, indicating that the river is high from time to time. What are you hearing from on the ground? Because you are in BC, about the best ways that people like me out here in Alberta, how can we help if we feel compelled to do that?
Well, it was really heartwarming how many people came together and very quickly. I've heard of anything from high schools, even the pro-freedom protesters were filling up trucks with things and getting things to the people. So there are lots of different avenues. Even if you go on a Facebook group and look up your area, regular people put together groups where you can go and put your needs, and then the people in that community will bring you those needs. So that's really fun. I am hearing that the animals need food. And so maybe that's something that's being missed. We think of the people, and that's great. And there seems to be abundance of avenues for that. But also, if you, for some reason, have the ability to feed the animals, that might be something looking into. Some of the places like Merritt, the people are starting to have a plan to come back, which is good. And I believe the government has put together a disaster financial aid system, and that's set up as well, so you can go there and apply and I guess let them know for now what your damages are and things like that. So there are different avenues, really cool. And I was kind of like, is this for real? But there was some local pilots that came together, and we're taking people to and from Hope to Chilliwack back and forth, and just dedicating their time to do that. So that's, it's really good to see how people come together and how resilient farmers are in these situations. They just, when the going gets tough, they just get tougher. So,
well, please be sure to ask today when you're investigating how best we can support the farmers and the animals, if there's any needs that the farmers need there, because, we've got a prairie full of farmers that are willing to help. Yeah. Drea, thanks so much for your careful coverage of this story. You looked at it from all aspects, including the human cost when you went to the evacuation center. And, I'm sure you'll stay with it till the very end.
Thanks so much for having me. Bye, everyone.
That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.